Hey, welcome to another episode of Agents in the Trenches. This is your friend Lucy Quiñones, international real estate and business coach and real estate broker since 2005. And if you've been following me, you know that we have been bringing this conversation for the last 6 months or more, where we actually, come together with different professionals in the local industry and talk about those struggles that are real that we're seeing happening right now in our marketplace. But we also bring the solutions. We bring those, insights, those concepts, those ideas that can help agents from all, levels of production and even other real estate providers from our area. We come together, we have great conversations. And speaking of other great professionals and providers in our area, as usual, I want to bring in my running partner, someone that you guys have seen has become my ride or die in this trajectory of real estate. And before I introduce her, I'm sure you guys already know her, but before I introduce her, I want to, really make an emphasis on the fact that we all need to work together with other people that are going to help us scale, that are going to help us, stay aligned, stay focused, continue moving forward, because we are definitely in a totally different uphill market. This market is like nothing that we have seen in the last 5-10 years. And for those that have been in the industry for less than, 10 years or even 5 years, or maybe even just 3 years, we're feeling the uphill battle. But without further ado, I want to bring in my running partner, Talia Miranda. How are you, Tali?
Hi, I'm doing good. Thank you so much for that introduction. Ride or die for real.
And I say that with the most sincerity, because this year has definitely been one of those years where we feel the struggle, don't you think?
Oh yeah, definitely. The struggle is real for sure, and we're seeing it across the board. So I'm super excited for this conversation. Though I think it's going to bring a lot of knowledge to people who, are working with, specific kinds of groups of people, right? But I'm super excited. I just want to say Talia Miranda with Q International Experts. I'm certified mentor and business development director. So I'm super excited to be here and can't wait for this conversation.
Absolutely. And today we're going to go in a little bit of another trajectory. We've been doing a lot of things in the local Southwest Florida agent community to, help other people, to help agents from all different companies be able to position themselves to weather out this winter that we are literally in the middle of. If we look at it from a season's perspective, we are definitely in winter time, and there's a lot of people that are being caught without the proper gear, for a lack of a better term. But today, what I wanted to share, because at our last Southwest Florida Realtor Mastermind, we had the privilege of having someone that came and was part of what we did. And this fine gentleman, who I'm very happy to see once again, we have met in the past, he brought to the highlight a new product that can open up doors of opportunity for agents to go out and find more clientele. Okay. It doesn't matter what the market is doing. It doesn't matter what interest rates are doing. It doesn't matter if we are in the best market or in the worst market. What really matters is how we strategize and we reposition ourselves. So it is time to pivot, and he's going to be coming on with us in just a second, and he's going to be sharing with us a new product that I think a lot of other agents need to know about. And the reason they need to know about it is because if you want to be the go-to agent, if you want to be the go-to team leader, if you want to be the go-to broker in our area, then you need to know how to solve some problems, or you need to be the solution to the problem. So without further ado, I want to invite my good friend Chris Larson, who is joining us here today. Hey, Chris, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, Lucy?
Introduce yourself.
I'm Chris Larson with Edge Home Finance. Been in the mortgage industry about 17 years, and Edge is a independent mortgage broker. So I think we've got right now maybe 100 different lenders that we work with, and I've been with the company since 2016. I started out, there's about 15 of us in QBs up in Minnesota, And now we're the third largest mortgage broker in the country. I think we hit 1,000 loan officers like last week. So
I love it. That's great. So, Chris, you joined us at the Southwest Florida Realtor Mastermind. Before we kick it off with this new product that I believe I wanted you to come on and share so that our agent community, even more so than our, buyer community, I wanted our agent community to hear about this product because I remember when I was in real estate in the year 2002, and there was this great program called the Nehemiah program. Did you ever hear about the Nehemiah program?
I was living in Mexico in 2002.
So in our local area, this program came out called the Nehemiah program. And basically it was what we now call in today's day and age, a down payment assistance program, right? And it really opened up a lot of doors of opportunity for me because I learned about it and I started promoting it. So that's the mindset that I want us to have, is that we're bringing this opportunity to our local real estate agents, our team leaders. If you're a team leader, you want to rally your troops and you want to say, hey guys, listen, we have to be at the forefront of what is new in the market so that we can continue to open doors to the home buyers. We can continue to open doors to put more deals together. So that's what we're going to be talking about. But before we go in that direction, I want you to share from your heart, what did you think about the last Southwest Florida Realtor Mastermind, that space and that place that we were in just 2 weeks ago that you joined us? What did you think about it? What would you have to say to those that are going to be watching us?
That was a great event. And you had a new location that was a bigger location than the last time. I've gone to 2 of those now. The first was over in Fort Myers, I think off of Winkler. And then the second was down was that Estero or Bonita?
Estero, yeah. That was by popular demand, yeah.
Those sort of merged together for me. But yeah, and a lot of people with a lot of experience and a lot of wisdom to share. It was a great event, and I learned quite a bit. So yeah, definitely, if you can go, you should go.
And we're going to be doing our next one the first week in December. We're kind of switching it to the first week in December because now we're working on the venue. But long story short, I was really happy that you were there and that you joined us and that you are becoming one of those frontline leaders, because that's really what I'm thinking our market needs. There's plenty of business to go around, but there's not many frontline leaders, which are those people that are leading from the front, who are the role models, who are serving and collaborating and contributing, and really, coming from a spirit of serving, coming from a spirit of servanthood and servant leadership. And so thank you for coming out and joining us that day. That was great. And that's the reason you're here. That's the reason you're here. So you're going to be talking about a new product that I think every real estate agent, every team leader, and every broker needs to reach out to Chris Larson, right? And get to know more about what you're doing. So tell us a little bit about this new program.
So like I said, we're a broker. We've got about 100 different lenders, and one of our newer lenders has a 3.5% down ITIN program. And what it is it's a group of investors who are authorized by HUD, who are actually buying the products or buying the homes on behalf of the borrower, or the buyer for realtors, borrower for the loan officer, semantics. And they're selling it on a 40-year contract for deed to your buyer. The investors are backed by FHA investment loan, and that's why it's a 3.5% product that allows the investors the down payment they need to get into their backup loan for the investment. And again, FHA is a primary residence product. These are investment loans for authorized investors that are authorized by HUD to do this program. So they're legitimate investors. They're not taking advantage. And then the contract for deed is a 40-year term, and there is no balloon payment. If these people want to continue to pay for 40 years, they can continue to pay. They don't have to refinance out a 3-year term or a 5-year term or anything like that, like a standard contract for deed from the investor, the guy who has a $2 million line of credit and who helps people who can't qualify by buying a house. This is a different, more legitimate contract for deed product. And
so who would be the ideal? So break it down for us a little bit. Let's dissect that part a little bit more. So give us the ideal profile or the ideal, candidate for this type of loan.
Well, the 3.5% down gives a lot more people with the ITIN number access to home ownership. Because generally the ITIN programs are 10% down minimum with quite a few, restrictions on credit score and debt to income ratio and things like that, tighter guidelines, or 20% down with a looser underwrite. So this gives a lot more people access to the program. Minimum score is 600. So that's pretty flexible.
Generous.
Yeah,
that's pretty generous. So I want to take a quick second, because I know that for us in the Hispanic community, we're very familiar with what we call it ITIN, right? You call it ITIN, so it doesn't matter. ITIN.
I say ITIN.
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 ITIN, however you want to call it.
ITIN in English.
What is that? What is that for those real estate agents that, may not even know? There's a lot of real estate agents that don't know because they just don't know. You don't know what you don't know. What is the ITIN?
So the ITIN number is for people who don't have a social security number, and it's an individual tax ID number. So it's like a tax ID number that you get for your business, but it's a personal one. It's issued by the IRS instead of the Social Security Administration. But it's a number that you use to file taxes for earnings you have in the country if you don't have a social yet. And, there's a million different situations with immigration statuses and whatever. So, I can't say specifically why someone doesn't have a social. But then what they do is they just apply with their accountant, and the accountant requests an ITIN from the IRS. And that's how they declare their income so that they can stay in line and the IRS isn't looking for them. So,
right. I think it's important that everybody realizes that we are in Florida. A lot of people don't know. I mean, I'm passionate about my international vision. Come January, I'm going to be ready to look for people that want to go international. And when I say go international, I don't mean you have to leave our local market, but at least you can position yourself as a global advisor, as an international real estate consultant. Because in Florida, a lot of people may not know this, but 1 in every 4 sales is to a foreigner. So, this ITIN number, this ITIN number, right, or ITIN number, is for people that are in the United States and they're probably in the process of investing, and so the government says, well, listen, you can come and buy homes, you can come and invest, but you need to file your taxes. And in order to do that, we're going to give you a ITIN number. So that's really important for everyone to know that, this is something that's real. And now there's this program. So how exactly does let's say that there's a realtor watching, there's a team leader watching. What are the first 3 steps somebody needs to take to be able to utilize this program?
Well, I mean, there's 4 factors to basically financing any loan, and that's going to be credit, income, assets, which would be your down payment, and then the property itself, which doesn't really pertain to the borrower. That just means if you're qualified for a single family home, you can't buy a 4-plex or you can't buy a gas station. You have to buy a single family home. But the credit, the assets, the income. So, like I mentioned earlier, we need a 600 score or above. The income is calculated just on year-to-date income, which is another thing that gives more access to more people. So if you're an employee, that, for example, just started to make commission, where generally for FHA or conventional or other underwriting guidelines, you need a 2-year history of commission, overtime, tips, bonuses, etc. You just use your year-to-date pay stub, and whatever that total gross is, you divide it out by the months that the check date, and that's your monthly income, which is again a much more flexible way to calculate income. If you're self-employed, you could have started your business this year, January 1st. You need a profit and loss, and you need through the most recent 3 months bank statements from the company to obviously correspond to the profit and loss, because they don't want somebody's brother-in-law just making a profit and loss that said they made $1 million this year. So
Right.
you need bank statements to back up the profit and loss. But again, it allows people that are just starting to earn tips, bonuses, commissions, things that are going to greatly increase their income, a way to qualify for more. It allows self-employed people with less than 2 years in business a way to qualify.
Okay.
I wanted to mention we can use this program for people with Social Security numbers as well.
Okay.
But really, the focus is on the ITIN number, just because it's the lowest down payment program for an ITIN that's out there by far. And
I think that's the advantage. I think the
Yeah.
advantage, and if I were in real estate, especially right now, where we've already lost 75,000 real estate agents across the country, and it's estimated to double in the next 3 to 4 months, because obviously we know what happens at the end of the year. People have to renew their associations, and it's been a tough year, especially for the newer agents. And when I say newer, I'm talking anybody in the business less than 36 months who was used to having real estate be a lot easier. I mean, the government was basically giving away money and everybody was able to buy, and people were sitting on top of equities that were hundreds of thousands of dollars. And now people don't even want to sell because they're like, where am I going to go? And I don't want to give up my 2% interest rate. But here's what I would say to the realtors and the team leaders and the brokers, and the reason why you want to reach out and learn about this program is because a lot of the people that are in our service industry, when I talk about service industry, I'm talking about restaurants, I'm talking about hotels, I'm talking about all the people that service the tourism industry, right? A lot of them are here on ITIN status, right?
Yeah, I see a lot of ITINs, and when depending on their situation, at least with the programs we have, we've either got a 10% down or a 20% down, and it's a 10%, and they're always, I hear so much, es mucho, and it's, es demasiado, no tengo esa cantidad.
So this is going to help them buy with a 3.5%, because normally, like you said earlier, and I've sold houses in the past to people, and my team and my office has sold houses in the past to people that have ITIN numbers, and they had to put down 10, 15%, or they were considered like an investor. They had to put down, high percentages. So this is actually 3.5%.
Now, I do need to say, full disclosure, the closing costs are a little more because there's some paperwork to set up the contract for deed to the property transfer, that kind of thing. So
Okay.
The closing costs are a little higher, and that's going to depend on each individual situation. So
Okay.
just anybody that's out there, make certain that you clarify how much are the closing costs for that specific client. In case you're asking for, let's say, 3% seller pays or something, and you think that's going to cover it, you don't want to misinform them.
Well, I think anybody that's going to, before they write a contract, they should have a meeting with you, and you should be involved, and you should be telling them the terms and the conditions of the loan. So that's going to be very particular to whoever the buyer is.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions, Talia? I think this
Yes.
program is great. I think this is a phenomenal program and it's great to promote it.
Yes, it does sound like a really good program. And I wanted to just mention something or ask you a question, because I know Lucy mentioned interest rates. So I'm sure everybody is dying to know what would be the interest rates for a program like this.
So the interest rate is going to be 9 and change, which, we're almost at 8 for conventional loans. So it's not horrible. Generally, the ITIN loans are having a 2 or 2.5%, 3% margin. So this one's a little tighter margin, a little better interest rate. Depending on your score, 9.875 down to 600. Then it's, I think, 9.675, 9.625 down to from 640 to 679, and then 9.375. Now these are current rates. They're not going to change as much. They're not going to change daily like conventional rates. They're based on FHA pricing, so they're a little more stable. But again, if there's any shift one way or another, those could change.
And you did mention that someone with a social security number could qualify for this. So I'm just curious, why would someone with a social security number would, pick this program over, some of the traditional ones?
Because of the way the income is qualified. So if they're brand new self-employed people, let's say they just got a job where they're making commission and they went from making 30 grand a year to 100 grand a year. And, you need is for standard for FHA or conventional calculations, you need a 2-year history of anything that's not just base salary. So, overtime, bonus, tips, commissions, any sort of additional income on top of your base. And with this, it's just a year to date. What does that YTD gross say on your check stub? And what's the date, and divide it out? And that's what you got for income. So it does allow people that now qualify but didn't previously to jump into the real estate market sooner. Prices are always going up. We've leveled out a little bit, but if you look at a graph, with the exception of 2008, we're always going up. It allows them to get into an equity position in a property today, instead of waiting until next year, whenever, when the same house is however much more than it would be right now. So it allows them to get into the market sooner, allows them to get a home for their family sooner.
Okay. So someone who had just started the business and haven't had 2 years of being self-employed could benefit from this program, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool. That's actually really good to know. So is the timeline different? So like as a traditional one where it'd be 30 to 45 days, is that different for this program?
Because there's that sort of 2-step process of the investor buying the property and then doing the contract for deed over to the actual buyer. I'm asking for 45 days instead of 30. We just want that margin. If you put it out a little further, generally people don't care too much. And, if you got it at 45 days and you close it in 37, everybody's happy. But if you put it at 30 days and you close it at 37, everybody's having a stroke. And so it's better to manage expectations by adding a little bit of time to the closing, just in order that the transaction goes smoothly.
And that's not a huge difference, right? I mean, that's 30, 45 days, 15 extra days. I don't think that's just a big difference in time.
No, it's not a 90-day transaction or anything.
Yeah, that's good to know.
So you've still got a reasonable offer for the listing agent, as far as the closing date.
Interesting stuff.
I have a quick question. So I buy this house, right? I have an ITIN number. Basically, just to kind of break it down, you're saying that I don't have to have a social security number. I could purchase with an ITIN number. It's 3.5% down. My closing costs will be a little higher because obviously it's a specialty program per se. So once I close on my house, what happens if I want to sell it? Is there like a period of time that I have to hold on to the house before I can sell it?
There's a 2-year prepay penalty on this.
Okay.
And thank you for asking that. And it's 2% of the remaining balance. And this is, I guess, just so that the investors can get their, make their piece. But again, you're in with a contract for deed. You have,
Mhm.
if your gain is enough that you don't care about the 2%, if somebody makes you an offer you can't refuse, well then, it's not something that's paralyzing, I don't think, as far
So
as
the prepayment penalty would consist of basically 2 years of interest.
2% of the balance. 2%.
Okay, 2% of the balance. All
Well,
right.
let's say the balance left on the loan is 250,000. The prepay penalty would be 5,000.
Okay. All right.
0.02 times the balance.
Right. Okay, good, good. Well, at the end of the day, people that are renting are paying 100% interest, right? And you can always refinance after 2 years. And hopefully, 2 years from now, we will be back to a more, normal level of interest rates and, just economic strength, kind of like we were having in the past, which, it's funny. A lot of people thought that we weren't doing so good, 3-4 years ago. And now look at where we are. So
Can I, let's see. So I wanted to reiterate that there is no, let's say the rates went to 15, it's a 40-year term. There's no time that they have to pay this off. They're not forced to refinance in 3 years or 5 years like a lot of the contract for deeds are done to have happen. In addition, I forgot to mention, as far as the down payment funds, they only care about your balance. So if you got money in the mattress or in the freezer or in your dirty socks or wherever it is, if you've got a large deposit into your bank account in order to get to that balance amount that you need for the 3.5% down plus closing costs, whatever the total transaction costs, they don't, it's not, you have to put it in 2 months ahead and wait 2 months or anything like that. So you can put the money in there and you just need to show a statement that you've got the entire funds, and they won't say, what's this $20,000 deposit? That's something that's different, and it makes it easier.
okay.
Because a lot of the ITIN buyers, they're afraid of banks because of their ITIN status, and
Right.
So they manage with more cash, and so
Okay.
it's a smoother process for that reason as well.
What else should we be asking about this program? So for anybody that joined us late, I mean, we're talking about a new, very generous, financing program for people that want to purchase a home, that perhaps are in the process of getting their legal status, or, going from, there's a lot of investors. I was speaking with an immigration attorney a week and a half ago, and there's a lot of people that have their visas that came here as, on a tourist visa, and now they are transitioning to an investor visa. So they all have to go through this process, or maybe even students that have been here on student visas and are now wanting to stay, and they're going through the process, and they end up having an ITIN or ITIN, or however you want to call it. So this is there to help all these people that basically before could not purchase with a 3.5% down. That's what we're talking about, right, Chris?
Exactly. Yeah, this is, it's much better for that demographic that has the ITIN.
So this opens up a whole new market of buyers.
Yeah, exactly. The amount I'll close about one ITIN loan a month. Previously using the 10% and 20% down products we had, but the amount of people that I spoke to that said, oh, 10% es 10,000, no, es 10% de todo el precio, and they just say that's too much.
Right. Yeah, because before, if you wanted to buy with an ITIN, it was at least 10%. This conversation is really, as we're speaking, I'm saying, my goodness, there's so many real estate agents, team leaders, and brokers that could really leverage this financing tool and start putting some more deals under their pipeline. I know that that's what we're going to do, right? Because we're all in the business of listing and selling real estate, no matter what else we do, right? So what other questions should we be asking you that we may not have asked?
I think we went through most of it. 3.5% down. it's a contract for deed from an investor. It's it's important that they have that ability to pay. If they're in a situation where they want to refinance out in a few years, then obviously I'll talk to them about what they need to do as far as declaring their taxes, enough income if they're self-employed, or continuing, not changing jobs, jumping around, things like that. Things that they can help them improve their credit.
Excellent. Well, I'm really happy that you joined us today and shared this and opened up this conversation. I don't know if Talia has any other questions, or if you wanted to say any closing remarks. I want to respect your time. And of course, we've had a lot of people that have connected and watched this, and they can watch it on the replay. So anything else you want to share about this program? Because I'm really happy that we opened up this conversation.
I think I've got everything there. If there's anybody online that's got a question that wants to jump in, or if you guys have any other questions, but I think we've covered it.
Yeah, no, that's really awesome. My first thought was like, wow. I mean, because I've listed properties on like Marketplace before for rent, and I've always had a lot of people reach out to me that they don't have, they're afraid for me to like check their credit score or whatnot, or they don't have a social security number and they have an ITIN. So now I'm just thinking, I'm like, okay, this can be a great way to leverage these people who they'll think about first renting, because maybe that's might be the easiest way to go, when in fact they could qualify to buy, right? We will never know until we start that conversation. So for me, I'm like, okay, I now need to go back to my inbox and start reaching out to people and say, hey, I might have another option for you, so I'm super excited, and I'm happy that we, got on and now have this information. And I think it's going to help a lot of realtors out as well that might be finding themselves in the same boat where, they have people with ITIN numbers and not too sure what to do, right? And how to get them to become a homeowner.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Thank you so much. How can people reach out to you? What's the best way for someone who wants to find out some more information to get in contact with you?
Give me a call, send me an email, shoot me a text if you miss me. I see those more than I listen to my voicemails, like I think most people nowadays. But you have my information up on the screen somewhere here?
I don't, but I can definitely get it. I can drop it in the chat now.
We're going to put it in the comments. So at the end of our live,
Okay.
we'll drop your information in the comments as a courtesy and appreciation for having you join us.
Okay.
And then, of course, let's continue to do business together and really reach out to the marketplace. So I hope this is not the first and the last time you come and join us here. Oh, we have a question. What states is this program available?
There are like 2 states that it's not available, and I think it's like Texas and then somewhere in the Northeast.
Okay.
Because of different laws. And but as far as if you're in the southeast corner of the United States, or if they're thinking about like Georgia or Alabama or one of those, everything near Florida is available. Florida's available. I'm personally licensed Minnesota, Wisconsin, Florida, California.
Excellent.
We've got other loan officers at my company that are licensed everywhere, so we can take care of everybody in the country. I
love it. All right, Gisela, thank you for asking. Well, Chris, thank you so much. I want to respect your time, and if anybody has any questions, reach out to us, of course. And we put Chris's number there. Talia, go ahead and drop our information off as well, so they can text us if they have any questions, or if you know someone that is looking to purchase a home, especially now that there's so many people that are renting and they're probably paying so much more than they could be paying for their own home. So Talia's going to drop our information there. Yes, we're still in the business of listing and selling property. And as a matter of fact, we have I want to continue this conversation with you, Chris, offline, because we have a lot of properties that are off market that I would love to be able to pair up, the sellers with the buyers, and making some dreams come true. So we are by no means looking to slow down during the holiday season. As a matter of fact, I think that's a bad mindset to have, especially in this market. If anything, Talia and I are, accelerating and kicking it into high gear. So we're definitely going to continue this conversation offline and see what we can do to start finding those buyers that are ready in this market to make the American dream of home ownership a reality.
So there's a statistic out there where when a job is a commission-based job, the people in a bad market, the people providing the service leave the industry faster than the demand for the service drops. So right now, to all those agents out there, technically there are more clients per capita for you now than there are in a good market, because so many people have dropped out. So, you got to look for them.
Right, of course.
There's a lot less agents out there. So
that's absolutely right. There's a lot less agents, and there's a lot more agents that are looking to shrink back. There's a lot of agents that are retreating because they're saying, oh my God, I don't know what to do, when instead they should be, speeding up and saying, well, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to find what to do. And that being said, that's why every Wednesday we are having our, productivity for profits challenge, because I believe, just like you just said, Chris, this is the best market to make a strong comeback and become one of those top producing realtors that is just riding the wave of opposition, right? They say that there's a lot of millionaires created during market crisis, and I firmly believe that.
exactly.
So thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions on this, reach out to me, message Talia directly. Talia, go ahead and drop my cell phone number. Listen, my cell phone number is public. I don't work for the FBI. I don't work for the CIA. I don't work for the DEA. I want everybody to know how to reach me. And Talia, I'm sure you feel the same way. I want to make reaching me for any questions, anything that I can do to help my agent community, or if you want to join us on Wednesdays, or if you want to learn more about this program. Listen, we're here to serve. We're here to make a strong comeback in this market. So I dropped my cell phone number there. And I'm always busy, but I always make time. Like right now, I'm in the middle of conducting a real estate licensing class, but here I am, right, making time for the things we need to do. So thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you taking the time to join us today on Agents in the Trenches.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Likewise.